trending on Arise Play.
Inside, Ingram is to hear claims that he teamed up with a coughing accomplice to cheat his way to the £1 million jackpot on hit quiz show Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
I really enjoyed it. It's very entertaining, it's very witty, it's very quick, it's very sharp. That'll be up to you to see whether you think they're innocent or guilty.
Major Charles Ingram. You ready to play?
Exclusively on Arise Play. Download the app and subscribe to join a bold new world of entertainment. Arise Play, beyond streaming.
A very warm welcome to this week, 60 minutes of analytical review of the big stories, topical issues and all the controversies around the world. I'm Somna Sambu. Our top stories for this week. Loretta Onochie's nomination for INEC National Commissioner position on course, despite public outcry and documents showing her support for APC, amidst claims that she has quit her membership of the governing party. Senate approves the borrowing of 2.3 trillion naira from foreign lenders to enable the federal government fund its deficit component of the 2021 national budget. And bandits invade another school in Kaduna, abducting 121 students for now amidst outcry by Nigerians. UNICEF and international community expresses outrage. Plus, an assassination in Haiti. The president, Jovenel Moise, has been assassinated by a foreign hit squad, many of who have now been arrested with suspects in custody, even as the country seeks help from the US and the United Nations. Presidential media aide Loretta Onochie maintains her position before the INEC Senate Committee, stating repeatedly that she is not a member of the All Progressives Congress, and she did that thrice. Now, more documents are coming to public domain, suggesting that Onochie may have lied about her resignation from active politics. Onochie affirms that she quit politics in 2019. However, a tweet on June 24, 2020 shows the presidential aide still promoting the APC a day before the party's National Executive Committee meeting. Another tweet in August 2020 also shows her support for the party. Onochie's nomination as National Commissioner at the Independent National Electoral Commission has drawn widespread condemnation, with concerns that she may become partisan in a job she is expected to be independent and neutral. Meanwhile, the People's Democratic Party is criticizing Onochie for what it calls a clear desperation to be appointed as INEC National Commissioner. Let's listen to this outcome of the Senate hearing.
Let's put her on.
She should take an oath because it was our decision.
Loretta Onochie's nomination has received wide condemnation from the public over her alleged partisanship and membership of the governing All Progressives Congress, thereby leading to tons of petitions against her to the National Assembly. But at this screening before the Senate Committee on INEC, Onochie categorically denied any membership of the APC and debunked any partisanship despite petitions against her before the committee.
Are you a member of any political party as present?
I am not. Since 2019, when President Muhammadu Buhari won his second term, I have removed myself from anything political, not even anticipating that I will be here today defending my nomination to INEC. It was never in my, I never envisaged it, but here I am.
But some senators will take none of that, as they insisted that Onochie must be put on oath before the public can believe her. This led to huge disagreements among the lawmakers.
My only request, sir, will be that Madam Onochie be placed on oath to repeat what she said as to whether or not she's a member of a political party.
He will only put somebody on oath in a committee if we were having it, if there was an investigation. We are not investigating. This is not an investigative hearing.
She knows the meaning of taking an oath. It's just to confirm for the committee that we can take to bank what she said, that she is not a member of a political party. We are not in any way trying her.
There's no provision whatsoever in our rule that asks you to put a nominee to go on oath. That's totally unacceptable. It's not even our rules. I mean, that makes us rather primitive.
The committee later resolved that she should not take the oath. Some senators were taken aback, especially after a court affidavit surfaced where Onochie categorically wrote a court stating that she is a member of the ruling APC.
When APC decided to do a proper registration of their members and to revalidate their membership, I did not take part in that exercise. So as I'm sitting down here, I am not a member of any political party in this country.
Despite the observations by senators, Onochie insisted that she stopped being a member of the ruling All Progressives Congress immediately after the 2019 elections. The committee then adjourned hearing to compile its report and present it to the Senate at plenary some other time. Onochie's nomination had sparked an outrage from the opposition and civil society groups, with PDP leaders staging a peaceful protest at the National Assembly complex to demand her rejection as INEC National Commissioner nominee. All right, to help us analyze this ongoing development, we are joined by Ezenwa Nwagu, who is the Executive Director at Partners for Electoral Reforms, and Yinka Shotade, who is Public Affairs Analyst. Gentlemen, it's good to have you back on the show.
Thank you.
And this is coming at a very controversial time when Nigerians actually saying that based on the elections ahead, they feel that citizens will be shortchanged by this nomination if it is carried through by the Senate. Let's start from you, Ezenwa Nwagu. Some have asked that President Buhari should withdraw this nomination immediately since 2 days ago when Loretta appeared before the Senate committee and more documents surfaced. What is your take on this issue?
Well, let's just even first leave the citizens' angst against our nomination and then situate the irreparable dent that the INEC brand will suffer if that nominee is eventually appointed into the board. The public perception of INEC, and indeed the country, is currently nosediving in a frightening manner, you know. So to continue to be obstinate about a woman who clearly resigned her membership of APC at the screening.
Well, she said she did that in 2019.
No, I'm just telling you that evidently, manifestly, it was at that screening that she resigned her membership of the APC. But let's even put that aside. The bigger challenge is that it is people who have sworn to defend the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria that are working to subvert it. That's the biggest part of it. This woman is a nominee from Delta State. Mrs. May Agbamuchembu is from Delta State.
Well, she has said it herself that she's actually, Agbamuche is actually she's representing Cross River, though she hails
she's not representing,
from
the public documents that are available, from the DSS, from the records of the Senate, when she was screened
In 2016.
In 2016, shows that she's representing Delta State.
Delta State. Okay.
Yes, she's born in Kano from Delta State, married to a cross-Riverian husband, but the reality is that those documents are there.
Yeah, the Senate report is
the Senate report is clear. It's very clear. Kabiru Gaya was the ones who screened. That report is available for everyone to see.
And then Abubakar Kyari, that was the chairman then. And then
yes, the two nominees, for a nominee to scale through, senators from your area, and the two nominees who, validated Membu's screening were Senator Joseph Managa and the current Deputy Senate President, who said that she's a illustrious son or illustrious daughter of Delta State.
Yeah,
so
manager,
if you go to INEC online documents, you will see that Membu is from Delta State and no nominee. Incidentally, the tradition within INEC is that you are not going to oversee the states of your origin, and Mrs. Membu have been overseeing Rivers, Cross River, Delta, and the state where she supposedly.
Okay, just hold your thoughts there. Let's get the views of Yinka here very quickly. A lot of people are surprised that President Buhari is still insisting on Loretta Onochie, considering how Buhari had been mouthing this issue of transparency in INEC before he became president. He had always insisted that reforms must be taken in INEC, and when Justice Uwe's committee report was brought in, he was always championing it until he became president in 2015. Are you taken aback like many Nigerians?
Well, you have stated the obvious. Like the speaker before me, a brother too, has said. You see, this government generally and the INEC has suffered a lot of deficit and loss of strength in terms of integrity, concerning their integrity with the public. Now, the question that baffles me the most is Section 152, 153, 154, 156 of the Constitution is not silent. 14 of the third schedule is not also silent. I don't get. If this thing is going to be for a woman, there are so many women in Nigeria that can take up this responsibility. Because what is an electoral, a public process? What is integrity when it is suffocated completely of morality? What is it? Somebody whose personality and membership of APC is in the open. I don't get what the ruling class, especially the president, is trying to drive at.
Well,
what is the credibility of the electoral process 2023? I don't understand. You see, this government continually pushes to my face and to the face of Nigerians one story in my place where you marry a child, a girl child out to a family, and you say, what we have given you is a wife. You must not impregnate her. We don't have agreement on that.
Well, very quickly, one of the groups against her was actually saying that it looks like there's a third term agenda in play. The CUPP was actually saying that they don't understand why Buhari is hell-bent on this. Do you think that they have a point, or they are just trying to score a cheap political point?
Well, the third term agenda is clearly not permissible in our political space.
Yeah, the president himself has said it clearly.
The only thing that,
a minute after what is required by the Constitution.
Is
but we're surprised with this group making such allegations.
The only thing that is worrisome is the tenacity of the presidency or the president, because we have always been caught in the web of whether this is a decision of Mr. President or is a decision of the cabal from the presidency.
Well, the president hasn't said that it's not his decision.
It is sad. Quickly. It is sad why they must insist that this woman should continue.
Okay, sorry.
When she has a heavy load
when we come back, when we come back, we'll continue that conversation. You're still watching you're still watching This Week on Arise News. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation. Stay with us. Welcome back to This Week on Arise News. I'm Somna Sambo. Still with me in the studio is Ezenwa Nwago, who is the chairman of the Partners for Electoral Reforms, and Yinka Shotade, who is the public affairs analyst. And of course, we are discussing the issue of Loretta Onochie and her denial. I'll come back to you, Ezenwa Nwago. I mean, someone has likened it to Peter in the Bible denying Jesus Christ 3 times. They say Loretta Onochie actually denying the APC 3 times despite benefiting from that party. But there have been these allegations that no one can prove that she's a card-carrying member of the APC. And I want our control team here to actually play back like about 3 evidences that people have brought against her. First of all is the list from Delta State, where we have that list of all the APC members in her ward. And then we also have the issue, I think I'm still waiting for that. I just want you to play back that list, the list from Delta State of the roll call of members of her ward. And then we also have her tweet. And then, okay, that's the tweet that we're seeing right now. But there's also this list that actually showed, yes, that's it. You can see it right there. She's number 2 on that list where it was shown clearly. And then you can also see a court document that was filed by her lawyer where she said that she is a member of the All Progressives Congress. And a lot of people have described this as an executive arrogance by President Muhammadu Buhari for failing to withdraw this nomination despite all these evidences. Should we believe these documents?
Well, see, I don't want us to place a lot of store on one aspect of the Constitution that can get into a legal technicality issue as to, like you said, if you scrutinize these documents, lawyers, if you have 1,000 lawyers have 1,000 opinion on every issue. But there are clear constitutional subversion. That is the one about you not nominating from one state to, 2 nominees in a board of 13 people. 17 political parties in the country under the IPAC have petitioned this nominee. The biggest, largest legal body in the country, Nigerian Bar Association, brought a petition. Eminent personalities. The consequence of this nominee scaling is that even the donors who support INEC will be uncomfortable. Also, within INEC, a lot of the people within that place will feel insecure. Because part of the work that INEC does is to profile the political parties and assess them. And so you can't be too sure, you can't be comfortable doing this when you know that somebody who just yesterday is still a very personal assistant to the president, that is also his political party is in contention for 2023, will be sitting in the board of a sacred institution like INEC. Okay. So each time you want to dwell on this membership of the APC, there is, like Shotade said, there are no controversies. Like I told you, her resignation from that party only happened at the point
okay, Yinka, let's talk about this. Do you subscribe to some of the belief in certain circles that APC is trying to seek an insurance ahead of 2023 when President Buhari is no longer there to bring all the huge votes that the party got in 2015 and 2019.
Samba, you have to be very careful putting all that morally on me.
I mean, because I'll take our mind back. There are lots of groups making this accusation. I'll take our mind they don't know why Buhari is hell bent on this nomination.
Don't worry, I will answer it. I'll take our minds back to a popular saying in the public domain when they went to meet late Fela Anikulapo Kuti, that who killed Delegua, he said, as for me, it is Baba. But if you add Gida, you have said it is Babangida. Naturally, the body language of the presidency and the president in this concern is jittery and desperate. That is the truth. Where is an election? What is an election without integrity? The international community is contesting this. Political parties that are parties in that particular contest are contesting it. Civil society groups, which all over the world,
13.
which all over the world is Usually, the mechanism of foray into the civilian enclave by any serious government in the race of development are contesting it. Respectable individuals are coming out to contest it. What the heck?
Okay, now let's talk about giving Loretta Onochie a fair hearing. The Senate has given her that platform, and she came out openly to say, look, gentlemen, the public, I am not a member of a political party. Thrice, until a senator wanted her to be put on oath, but the senators were divided, and eventually she wasn't allowed to be put on oath. Do you think that she's another Amina Zakari in the making? Remember how controversial Amina Zakari was at a point in time in INEC.
Amina Zakari was not in contention as to her qualification to be in the board of INEC. That's a different thing.
But the opposition had a very strong dispute about her presence in INEC.
No, about her position as the INEC commissioner in charge of operations, electoral operations and
which is what some people are afraid that if Loretta she may also get to that position.
The point here is that our premise is that Mrs. Loretta Onochie is not qualified by virtue of the law that both the president and the senators have sworn to uphold. That it cannot be me, a civil society actor, that will be asking you to defend the constitution that you have sworn to. This woman is on oath. Where else do you go to take oath? Her lawyer deposed to an affidavit where she clearly said she is a member of the APC.
Okay, Yinka, now. Yeah, some people have also said that she has not withdrawn that until she goes to court to make another affidavit that counters that other one. That it looks like that still subsists. Do you subscribe to that?
Is that not simple truth? Is that not? Where is the other affidavits where she has sworn that she's no more a member of APC? Where is it? See, if this scales through, like my brother said, one, is going to scare away the funders, donor agencies of INEC. Two, it will completely extricate every iota of confidence that the people of Nigeria have got in INEC. Don't forget that the last election we had a creeping 34.7% participation as against 54.6% in the previous election before it.
So it may lead to voter apathy.
There's already voter apathy and lethargy. So you can imagine when people now know that my vote will possibly not count.
But do you think one person can determine the outcome of election results? I mean, because a lot of people are trying to elevate her to make her look like she's going to be the INEC national chairman.
One rotten apple
spoils the whole barn.
You can see. Let me tell you. Let's get this brand. The Mahmoud Commission has been working assiduously, incrementally, to improve the integrity of the electoral process through technologizing elections. You have seen the tests of, electronic transmission in Edo State, what that impacted, the current, electronic registration, all of this work that is going on both by donor and civil society. Our expectation is that we are not going to see reversals.
Okay.
We thought that the Senate will undergird this progress. That has been
made. Just as we try to round up this conversation, what does it tell you about the Senate generally in all of this? Because the Senate is also trying to be careful in presenting a fair hearing platform. But if eventually she crosses through and the APC uses its overwhelming majority to scale her through, in the midst of this controversy on electronic transmission or non-electronic transmission of results, what do you think that will do to the image of the National Assembly? Very quickly.
I think that it is important to underscore the fact, because I saw, surprisingly, the former Deputy Senate President, a PDP senator, an opposition senator, being in the vanguard of saying she should not be on oath because it does not.
They're talking of Senator
because it did not come to her rules. It is the responsibility of the opposition to do this kind of thing that civil society and civic groups are taking on themselves. And then that's why I keep underscoring the fact that it's a shame when those who are sworn to uphold the Constitution abdicate that responsibility for people who ordinarily
all right, very interesting. I can tell you also a lot of people were taken aback when two PDP senators were actually arguing with an APC senator insisting that she should not take the oath
And
when the reverse should have been the case. But we just have to go right now.
Why PDP as a party, its party was on the barricade.
Yeah, I mean, it was the road. It's as if they were against the letter by their party to the Senate. But we just have to go on a short break now. When we come back, we'll continue with the conversation. Stay with us on Arise News. A very warm welcome. The Upper Legislative Chamber has approved the foreign borrowing of 2.3 trillion naira or $6.1 billion to enable the federal government fund the deficit component of the 2021 national budget. Chairman of the Senate Committee on Foreign and Local Debts, Senator Clifford Odia, while presenting the report of the committee, says it is not a new borrowing, as the deficit is captured in the 2021 Appropriations Act. He also says the loan will be obtained from multilateral, bilateral, and international capital market sources. Let's listen to him.
That the Senate direct the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, the Director General of Debt Management Office, and the Governor of Central Bank of Nigeria to submit to the National Assembly within 10 working days, excluding the day of close of trading, a letter containing the United States dollars amount so raised and received as a result of the above approval, together with the applicable exchange rates.
This is not a new loan. This is a borrowing plan that we approved before with the budget 2021. What we have done is simply to provide the resolutions, the necessary resolutions that will enable the government to go and borrow.
All right, for more on this, we are still joined in the studio by Ezenwa Nwago, who is the chairman, Partners for Electoral Reforms, and Yinka Shotade, who is a journalist and public affairs analyst also. And let's come back to this issue of debt, Yinka. Endless borrowing by the Buhari administration, saying that we do not have enough revenues to support the infrastructure projects being undertaken by the government. This loan approval again which is actually a component of to shore up the deficit component of the 2021 national budget. But Nigerians are still saying that they are tired of these borrowings.
You see, to start with, by what process was the 2020 into 2021 budget prepared? Who were the actors that were consulted to put that document together? Because it is obvious that the huge deficit, as we're speaking now, they have done about 92% of that budget. We have done about 4.86 trillion. Besides government-owned enterprises and projects-driven debts. So, what was the expertise, or who were the people that were brought together to really envisage the issues of Nigeria to come up with that budget that would not be sufficient even before half of the year?
Well, we're not getting enough revenues. So what do we do?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, we are already caught in the web of the ruling class. Because the man who is chairman of the committee that led this is also a PDP senator.
Yeah, you're talking about Clifford Odia.
That's the truth.
Well, and then coincidentally, there was a press briefing by the PDP National Assembly caucus during the week where they said that APC is borrowing too much. And yet, the chairman of the Senate Committee on Local and Foreign Debt is a PDP member.
Yeah, that's why I've always said that our problem in this country is not politics, religion, or ethnicity. Our problem is the ruling class trepidating.
Okay, let's have your view on that.
Well,
are we borrowing too much?
Well, for me, I don't have a problem with loans. Personally, I don't have a problem with loans. And I will underscore that by saying that there is no big business that will not have to run on loans. But the challenge with us has to do with loans for what? What are, with our notoriety for fiscal indiscipline?
Well, we've seen so many mega projects being embarked
hold on.
By the APC.
So let me give you an instance. So you want to build plaza. You want to build plaza in Abuja. You approach the bank to give you money to build a plaza. Good thing. In fact, immediately you till the ground, there are people who will come to want to be part of, what you're
secure
doing.
shops ahead of the offices.
Once you go and buy a bag of cement that is 3,800 for 7,000, you have already lost. So in building that plaza with the loan, you have to ensure that you are the one going to buy the cement, you are the one going to purchase the nails, so that the costs, at the end of the day, when you finish your plaza, within 2 years, if you put in everything, every monitoring that you have to do into ensuring that you maintain fiscal discipline, you can refund your money. But what has happened is that, yes, like Shotade said, where is the plan that the infrastructure that you are putting, the loans that you are taking, has capacity to repay? Because it's not about, these loans will be repaid. So if, for instance, you are putting it on roads, for instance, I do know that in some other places, people want to ply good roads. People want to be able to drive on good roads. So if you outsource it, for instance, and say, hey, 60-40 to government, build this road, you understand, take a toll, and then at the end of the day, after 2-3 years, you return it back to the government. That is a feasible plan that can be touched by everybody. So 20 years down the line, you have a plan, a clear plan to repay the loan. When the colonialists were building railway, they were not building passenger rails. They were tying the construction of railway to raw materials.
Yes.
So as you are taking the raw materials from Nguru, you are putting it into the train straight to Lagos. So there is an economic thinking around the building of
when you talk of, for example, the second Niger bridge,
so here
you're building that, the railways, you're building that. Is that not an economic activity?
See, that's what I'm telling you. So your second Niger bridge satisfies a certain, how will the second Niger bridge repay the loan
back to payment of
it will boost economic activity. So look at the Lagos-Ibadan expressway.
So that's what I'm saying. If you don't toll it, where you hurt another part of the citizens. Health will suffer, education will suffer, because you are going to be taking money from that place to service a loan that you have used. So what I'm saying is that in taking any loan, the plan to repay it has to be clear for everyone.
Now let's talk about Nigeria's GDP to debt ratio. There was this recent argument by the Minister of Finance, Zainab Ahmed and Okonjo-Iweala. While Zainab Ahmed was saying it's at 29%, Okonjo-Iweala was saying that it's at 35%. And so these federal officials are saying that our debt to GDP ratio is low. So Nigeria can borrow since it's low. And if that is the case, international lenders are also willing to allow us borrow because our GDP to debt ratio is low. Shouldn't Nigeria be exploring that window? If you have people who are borrowing to you, and then what's it called? The priorities have been seen by these lenders to be good, and then the debt, the issues of the debt are well laid out, and then you can see that what am I trying to say now? The issue of the repayment have been ironed out. Then you see that the conditions are good. Shouldn't the federal government be accessing these loans? Because if not, how will they give us the required infrastructure?
Let me quickly look at the three things surrounding what you have just said. To start with, GDP debt ratio, high or low. The issue is the debts you are collecting, the loans. Are you paying them back? What percentage?
The federal government has been paying every year its debt servicing component of the budget.
So what? As we speak now, on every 100 naira we make, 70 naira is servicing loans. Don't forget that. So which means this tally is likely going to increase, even if the government tells us that it's going to happen or not. So right now, anything that loan being borrowed will be servicing must be able to guarantee the capacity of Nigeria to do two things. One, the local industry must improve. Commerce must improve. We must be able to generate internally more revenue. Secondly, that the mass population that is growing per day is not going to suffer the brunt. This same World Bank came up and told us about 2 days ago that the GDP of Nigeria is forecasted to drop back to what it was in 2010 owing to the growth in population. So, like my brother have said, let me look at Lagos for a typical example now. For some time now, let's look at transportation in Lagos. The Lagos state government did something under Fashola. They tried to remove a lot of stress from the road. They tried to ensure that there was cross-fertilization of commerce from the senatorial districts of the state. People in local farmers from Badagry, people from Ekpe may have to move their goods and their commodities from Ikorodu to the CBD, where they will be easily consumed and make profit. So now the issue was the roads were not sufficient to move these people, because over 45% of Lagos was moving. Now there was need to build the water transport infrastructure now. Although they had a lot of issues between the exclusive and the concurrent lists, whether it was Niwa or Laswa.
Of course.
Now,
definitely.
They were doing 80.6 million ridership as of 2014. Number of people. Now, as that infrastructure was built, goods could move, commerce could flow. Now, they could generate more IGR. Whatever debts Lagos had, Lagos could pay back.
Now, interesting, and Lagos is still one of the states that have the highest borrowings.
They also have the highest capacity to pay.
That's the point.
So we're not really against.
America has the highest borrowing.
But they have the highest capacity to pay. Nobody is against borrowing.
How about states that are also borrowing? Because all the borrowings are not by the federal government. The states are also borrowing.
You have emperors in the states. And that's the challenge. The oversight mechanism in the states is very weak. You have weak state assemblies,
houses of
assemblies that cannot,
stand
up. And there are no investments as we speak. The borrowings by the states are not invested. They are used to service, personal. So that's the challenge.
Very quickly, let's talk about this 982 billion naira supplementary budget passed by the National Assembly. President Buhari has said that a huge component of that will go into financing the military to ensure that this issue of insurgency is brought to a halt very quickly. And then we also have the issues of AIDS, and then the issue of COVID and all of that. What's your general view? He sent 895 billion naira to the National Assembly, but it came out as 982 billion naira eventually. That's almost $1 trillion naira. Your view very quickly.
Well, it is obvious that we need to build our security capacity as a nation. It's obvious. It's also obvious that we need to review the security architecture of the country. So funding without reviewing the architecture and the schematics of operations is like, it's an attempt in futility. You see, the issue is not borrowing. The issue is, what are you plunging the money you are borrowing to?
But we've seen the government saying that they want to re-equip the army, re-equip the navy, re-equip the air force, and all of that. So this is very essential.
Military spending, security spendings are shrouded in opacity. The absolute lack of transparency in military spendings makes it difficult.
Yeah, but I mean, earlier on you were talking about the need to borrow from sources that we also know it can be able to generate. But in the military spending, for example, it's not going to generate anything, but it will help in security.
So that's the point. So you need to deal with, there are things you need to deal with to reduce military spending. Your military capacity cannot succeed in the midst of poverty, hunger, and
well, that's why we have the National Assembly to also oversight some of these budgets that are approved.
So no, it's not just National Assembly. We should be able to FOI the military. We must remove that scale.
Of course, that's not possible.
It
will be difficult.
No, why shouldn't we? That's the challenge. Why do we mystify this? In a world where you should be able to say, I'm buying this number, tell us. Even if you are not bringing us into the strategy and operations,
but
we should be able to.
Wouldn't that affect the security of what we are doing?
It does not affect.
Because I mean, those who want to fight the country will have those.
Don't bring us into the strategy and the tactics, but we have a responsibility of knowing and oversight.
So you want to know how many fighter jets are being bought, how many armaments for the army, for example.
So if you keep it secret, at the end of the day, we are going to see 10 fighter jets. Supposing in the budget document you wrote 10 and you bought only 3.
Which is what we have. I beg to differ a little. Once security also will generate a lot. Because once the country is more secure.
Okay, we just have to go on a short break.
Business will thrive.
Oh, okay, thank you so much, Inka and Ezenwa. Well, it's time for a short break. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation on other issues. Stay with us. A very warm welcome back to This Week, where we hold the best of conversations and analysis. The United Nations Children's Fund has expressed worry over growing attacks on school children in Nigeria, as well as child abductions in the country. The organization is calling on authorities in the country to do more to ensure that children can safely leave and go to school or fetch water without fear of being attacked or taken from their families. UNICEF officials lamented that no fewer than 950 students have been abducted in Nigeria since December 2020. It stated that over the past 6 weeks alone, nearly 500 children were abducted in 4 separate incidents in both the north central and northwest of the country, with many still in captivity. The organization also highlighted the latest incident of 150 students being abducted from Bethel Baptist High School in Kaduna. And I come to you, Ezenwa Nwagu. It's a very tough time for the country, and a lot of people are scared that the north, for example, which had traditionally been backward in education, is suffering so much. How could you have a school like the Bethel Baptist High School, where last Sunday we're told that these bandits wrote to the school that they are going to come to attack the school and abduct people, and nothing seemed to have happened until they came. And about between 120 to 150 students were taken away until we heard 28 escaped, and now the parents are crying, just like others who are still in captivity. You go to Niger State, there are those from the Islamic school who were abducted, still in captivity, very young, small kids. And then you go to Kebbi State, there are still those who are still in captivity, and it's ongoing. What more can we do as a country to ensure that our children are safe when they decide to go to school?
So for me, it's an extension of Boko Haram. It's simply that thing, that the purveyors of the fact that they want to ensure that you do not get education have extended their reach beyond just shooting and all that. They have now, domesticated it into kidnappings, and you need the creative ability of not just an intelligence of societies, civic agencies, the government, to be able to tackle this. And what has happened is that what I see is that there is a lot of sloganeering around what needs to be done, especially by the political elite of the country. In places where there is seriousness to deal with that, we have seen engagements around civilian JTFs coming, collaborative efforts by communities, the military too. But in these parts of the country that this has taken root, there seems to be a lip service. There seems to be a template of statement that is standard, that you just issue the statement. But in concrete terms, if you take Kaduna, for instance, it is inconceivable that with the kind of military environment,
especially in Kaduna State,
that's what I'm saying,
military,
that you can take 150 people, and at the same time, with every step you go towards going to Kaduna, you are going to see checkpoints, military, police checkpoints, and at the end of the day, 150 young people can be ferried out in that huge number, and nothing is done. It tells you either there's a conspiracy, deliberate conspiracy, as I call it insurgency and kidnapping industry. And yes, because the web to be able to have a successful kidnap industry will mean that you have to have a conversation with the financial institutions, you have to have a conversation with the security agencies. And sometimes we dismiss this. Until Anini and Osumbo were caught, it was not possible for anybody to know that a serving police officer will be the one giving arms.
The security services were complicit. Okay, let's come to you, Yinka. In all of this, UNICEF is asking the Nigerian government, especially both the federal and states, to do more to safeguard kids. What more should be done? Do we need drones? And then sometimes I also wonder, how can we not invest in technology that detects body heat? Because if you have drones or you have things like that, you have a quantum of people inside the forest, shouldn't body heat be detected through thermal radiation and all of such things using military equipment?
You don't need to bother yourself too much or trying to craft the issue out as I speak to you, there is a Nigerian who's been trying to reach the Nigerian government. He's in the public space there. He's all over social media. That has designed successfully that drone you are talking about using thermal radiation for detection. There's a Nigerian. So, you see, he said something and I want to flow from it. Realistically, when you have a well-guarded and secured environment by the big outfits, the military men, the police, the DSS, in an environment, their presence is obvious. Yet, the insurgency and the issues you are trying to curb is still prevalent. Three things are always the issues. The first one, it means that there is insufficient government-citizens collaboration at some point.
Yeah.
The second thing is that there seems to be low or no use of the right political will to deploy the energy that will solve that problem. The third thing is that we should stop paying lip service and understand that security is the basis for our livelihood as a nation.
Very interesting indeed, but we just have to move on straight to other stories now, especially to Haiti, where the Haiti's interim government has asked the US and UN to deploy troops to protect key infrastructure as it tries to stabilize the country and prepare for elections in the aftermath of President Jovenel Moïse's assassination. Amid the confusion, hundreds of Haitians gathered outside the US embassy in Port-au-Prince, pleading for a way out of the country. US officials say the request was received, but no decision has been made. The Biden administration has so far given no indication it will provide military assistance. For now, the US only plans to send FBI officials to help investigate a crime. Here we have Haiti, a country of 11 million persons in the Caribbean actually suffering this attack. The president was assassinated, and it's very difficult to find out how a foreign hit squad can come into the country and assassinate a president, and almost nothing seems to have been done to safeguard the president. Aren't you surprised, just like everyone is?
I'm not surprised. The shield, every leader should understand that he is simply the fish and the people are the ocean. And when the ocean dries up or the river dries up, the fish will die. So if you have ostracized your people, you have made yourself vulnerable by implication. So the plantation boy who wanted to transmute into a dictator, overstaying overstaying his time by almost 2 years, and insisting, of course, rendered himself vulnerable for the kind of scenario.
Yeah, I mean, very difficult.
But Haiti has suffered tremendously from, first of all, the whole crisis of hurricanes and
all of that. And this is a much more serious hurricane affecting the polity. Let's talk very briefly on what the impact of this death of President Moïse means to Haiti, considering that the Senate is not fully in session. Only 10 senators out of about 30 are in session, and then the House is not in session fully, and then the Chief Justice died last year, and then you have two persons claiming to be interim president. How much more can Haiti take?
The two of them, the two persons, are creations of this late president. You see, again, like you said, social contract. Governance is holding power in trust for a people, not for yourself. The man obviously became a civilian dictator. He's a man that has single-handedly crippled the parliament, that has single-handedly crippled the Supreme Court. So where is even the arm of the law to get things going?
Eventually, when they came for him,
the only hope,
he had no one to support him.
The only hope for them right now is the possibility of rallying a unity government, which I do not know if Joseph Claude has got the clouds to do. Or else, they will go back to what happened when UN had to intervene in 2004.
Do you foresee the US providing this military assistance? Because US is just, from its body language, it doesn't look like it wants to.
Why not? US itself is still wriggling out of its own internal crisis. What needs to happen is for the people of Haiti to take ownership of the challenge that they face and see how they come out.
Very interesting. The people of Haiti should take ownership of their challenges. Well, this has been a very interesting conversation on this week with me. We want to thank Ezenwa Wagu, who is the chairman of the Partners for Electoral Reforms, and then Yinka Shotade, who is a journalist and public affairs analyst. It's been great having you guys here. And from me and the entire team here in Abuja, it's goodbye and thank you for watching. I'm Somna Sambu.